Oh, well, hello there, you beautiful, wonderful, incredible, epic human being. I'm Andrea Dunn, and today we are here discussing more yoga asana. And if we remember, yoga asana is the physical part of yoga, of which is a massive grand system that takes us to Svarupe Vastanam, or residing in our own nature. So if we follow the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, he tells us about these 8 limbs of yoga. And one of those limbs is the asana practice, the physical shapes. So we're talking about the physical shapes, why we do them, and how they can benefit us. And the purpose, the reason behind why all of this even began is so that we can develop a strong and steady seat, which takes us to one of the further limbs in the 8-limb Ashtanga system, which is dhyana, or meditation, which then eventually takes us to samadhi and eventually Svarupe Vastanama, residing in our own Atman, our Purusha, our own true nature, which is probably many lifetimes from now. However, one of the things that it is said, no spiritual progress is ever lost. And so starting with the asana practice is how many of us, especially in the West, begin this whole journey of yoga. This is Devi Sita. So I'm joined by my brand new 2 kittens, Devi Sita and Kazuko. So hopefully they will give you some fun little entertainment along the way. Today we are discussing Makarasana, or crocodile pose. So again, it's really important to understand the why we're doing what we're doing so that it has the potential to give us the most benefit. If we just put ourselves in shapes without actually occupying those shapes, then our fruits of this practice are probably will be quite limited. So we want to give ourselves the most potential to get the most benefit from these postures. And when we do that with intention and understanding of the posture, that gives us that ability. So let's find out a little bit more about Makarasana, or crocodile pose. Each posture in the physical yoga practice has a Sanskrit name ending in asana, and asana means seat or posture. Today we will explore Makarasana, also known as crocodile pose. When we break down the Sanskrit, we see Makara, and I'm not sure that I'm saying that correctly, could be completely wrong. Grace with me and patience for my learning process. This means crocodile or sea creature, and asana, which means seat or posture. Crocodile pose is found in the Garanda Samhita that dates back to the 17th century. This posture is restorative in nature and often practiced towards the beginning or end of an asana practice. This brings us to the why behind Makarasana. The outstanding why behind all postures, as we said before, is to develop a strong seat, of which provides us with the ease and ability to withdraw the senses, of which is necessary to achieve a state of meditation. And meditation is the method of which Patanjali, the author of the Yoga Sutras, tells us is the vehicle to the goal of yoga, which is to reside in one's own nature, or Svarupe Vastanam. Makarasana is especially aligned with this goal, and its shape lends to the improvement of good posture and the alignment of the spine with the emphasis placed on the breath. In general, crocodile pose releases tension from the whole body, in particular the back, neck, shoulders, abdomen, and chest. Makarasana is a gentle back bend, of which enables you to hold the posture for an extended period of time. Not only can this long hold activate the parasympathetic nervous system, it opposes the slouch, or the rounding forward shape that plagues so many people of modern times. This gentle chest-abdomen stretch promotes an all-round awareness of breath and can lend to the alleviation of respiratory issues. Makarasana also holds symbolic, metaphoric, and meaningful significance to our own personal whys. When we consider the Sanskrit translation of the posture, we can behold and perhaps resonate and be inspired by the essence of a crocodile. The still and observant nature he possesses might be in direct opposition to our busy go, go, go lifestyle. The crocodile is certainly not lazy because he is still. He is discerning, expelling energy and taking action only when he determines it is a benefit to do so. What other traits do you associate with the crocodile? And how might you allow him to influence your own ways of being? We might also be intrigued by the Hindu mythology behind the Makar, as he was known to be the vehicle of the sea god, Varuna, and of the river goddess Ganga. Could crocodile pose be a vehicle for us? Might it be our preferred vehicle to drive in setting the foundation for our strong seat of meditation, of which we must fully occupy to one day arrive in our own true nature, or Svarupe Vastanam? The shapes will only be shapes until you enliven them with your undivided presence, your breath, and your why. And coming back to that enlivening of, or we can go back to prana, or that life force. And so when we recognize that this body mind is our covering, and we think about what enlivens us, we start to dive a little bit deeper into those questions of our own true nature. And we can do that with the postures themselves. How do we enliven the posture? If it's a shape, it could just be a dead shape. And if we're not truly there when we're practicing, if our thoughts are of what's for dinner, who said what, what's going on in the office, what's my presentation tomorrow, whatever, we're not enlivening the shape. And thus it has no potential to gift us that vehicle towards Svarupe Vastanam. So we want to make sure when we're practicing, as much as possible, we come back to truly occupying that shape. And oftentimes we are misled by untrue beliefs of what is of benefit, of what is productive, right? Sometimes that leads back to Shavasana. Lots of people tend to skip Shavasana because how are we being productive? And we get caught in that, what I mentioned as the go, 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 go. This equals benefit. This equals productivity. And my productivity equals my value. And how much I get done makes me worthy. And so those are all questions you want to dive in. What makes me worthy? Is it how much I get done in a day? And if that doing is done when my presence is missing, how effective will that doing be? And we can take this into our conversations. Are we really present when we're having that conversation? And you can feel it, you know. And then how much depth does that lend to in that relationship? So we want to do the same thing with our postures. Fully occupy them. So let's demo our crocodile pose, our Makarasana. I love to start class in this way, and this can also be a way that you take Shavasana. Sometimes Shavasana, or our final rest, our corpse pose, feels too open and exposed, depending on what's going on with us. And we might take Shavasana, so this could be a substitute. Again, the reason why we want to learn what's behind each posture, because then throughout the practice, you can go to any teacher and it doesn't matter, because you will have more options. So they might say Shavasana's practice like this, but for you that day, that's not right. And so you know, oh, I could go into crocodile. This would be more servient to me today so that I can start to really withdraw my senses. I can start to move inward. But if we don't know why we practice what we practice, or we're dependent solely on the teacher and what they're saying during that class, our practice becomes very limited. And what I want to do is give you options. I want to gift you the agency over your own practice. So not only can you practice by yourself in any room, but you can go to any practice and make it a really worthwhile, helpful, beneficial practice to you, regardless of what the teacher's saying. It doesn't mean you ignore them. It means that you just take some things and leave some things. All right, so here we go into the posture. Okay, so we're going to start on our bellies. So you'll come down onto your belly, and we'll start coming onto the belly with our arms down next to the sides of the body. And we'll just start by arranging the feet. So I suggest starting them a little bit wider than the hips. You can always arrange that. And turn the toes out and heels in. And then you want to see if that's okay. If it's not, maybe you come onto the tops of the feet. But we want to make the legs relaxed and comfortable. And then from there, we're going to bring the arms up and place one palm on top of the other. Okay, now you can start with the palms just slightly in front of your nose so that when you lie down, your forehead is on top of the palm. And what we want to check in for is that our abdomen is down, the low ribs are down, but the upper ribs are lifting. Again, we mentioned in the reading that it was a gentle back bend. So if everything feels like it's pressed down, then maybe you walk the hands slightly in. You could also make this a little bit more pronounced by holding on to opposite elbows and stacking the forearms. So from there, I get a little bit more curve in my upper back. And then rest the forehead down. And here's where, again, you might just check in, maybe walking the elbows in or away. Another option that you have is to take a rolled blanket and place it underneath your chest. That could give you a little bit more lift. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to come down on to my low ribs. See if I can keep my upper ribs lifted. Hold on to opposite elbows. Place the forehead down. I like to start with a shimmy of the hips from side to side. And then eventually settle into stillness. It's a great place to work with your breath. You can feel the belly moving, rising and falling, pressing into the mat and lifting. So you can work all kinds of breath here. Maybe you do your Ujjayi pranayama, your audible breath. Or maybe just work on matching the inhalations with the exhalations. All right, I hope that was helpful. And we got a fun little playtime with the kitties, who are very much so enjoying my necklace. And remember, as you practice your asana, the most important thing is your sincerity. So whether the shape is exactly this or that, it's up to you to determine that for your own anatomy and your own body. But the most important thing is your sincerity and your commitment to the practice. Always such a blessing, honor, and privilege. My heart sees and feels and smiles to yours. Namaste.